All right, everybody, welcome back to Infernal Intercourse. Brian and I are still here, and we have now both seen season 6, and we'll be talking about that. So remember, if you haven't seen it and you don't want any spoilers, you'll have to click away because we're going to spoil everything.
Yeah, spoiler alert, big time.
Which we always do. But otherwise, welcome and. Remember, if you like this, then hit like and subscribe. I'm still trying to crack the 200 subscribers, so, help me out a little bit and be my 199th or 200th subscriber. Why not? And so right now, though, Brian and I are going to start talking about season 6, and we're going to start off with talking about Rory, the time-traveling daughter of Lucifer and Chloe. So initial thoughts, Brian?
Yeah, so clearly this is the device that makes the season. I try not to get meta right off the bat, but I tend to think had the season not been planned to end and then had to go another season, is that what this device was? Because Rory doesn't fit in the way that I think all the other new characters and extraterrestrials or whatnot, I can't think of supernaturals all fit in this way. And then of course just the whole tool of time travel gets to be interesting because they can create it within their universe, but I feel like they're inconsistent within their own universe about how they use it. And with her, she's interesting in that you have this extreme anger, and I loved her wings and the whole story of how it manifested in her wings. And I love that it manifested in a way that she was kind of empowering herself and not necessarily as a response to someone else's failures, I guess, because they were beautiful and they were cool. But just in general, it wasn't my favorite frame of a season that we've had, I guess is how I'll put it.
Yeah, I thought, first of all, time travel is, and I tell my students this because I teach a class on what would Captain America do, and so we end up talking about the Marvel Universe a lot, and I'll just come out and say, hey, time travel is like my least favorite trope, probably right down there with zombies.
Which we got in this season too, by the way.
Kind of get zombies here briefly. But my problem with zombie movies basically is that zombies are really innocent. I mean, no one chooses to be a zombie. You either get bitten by a zombie, or there's the Umbrella Corporation has made a virus or whatever. So you never seem to be going after the bad guys. You're always chasing these zombies down. It's like, but there's a corporation that turned them all into, shouldn't you be going after the real bad guys? So I find zombies not to be an interesting trope, and I find time travel to be really, really annoying. It just mucks everything up. It never seems to be able to make sense. And so here, we've got someone coming back in time because she's pissed at her dad, and just, by the end, she's like, oh, I want my life to be the same way it was. Don't change anything. So let me just grow up a pissed teenager, what?
So pissed that it drove the entire plot of the entire season, and no matter what Lucifer or even Chloe said, it didn't matter because Lucifer was just the most horrible, evil thing ever. But now for time travel, I don't want to change anything about myself. So make sure you do exactly that, because it's just a blip in time. Yeah. But yet that's the whole purpose of why I kept driving all this and why I kept being miserable and making everyone miserable for the whole season. So yeah, not my favorite.
Yeah, if you would just,
and I think it made her a one-dimensional character in a lot of ways as well. There were moments where they started to flesh her out, but then it always just came back to that.
The whole daddy issue thing, which of course Lucifer did for seasons, was really, really annoying, especially in season 3 to me, when it looked like we lost all of the first 2.5 seasons of character development. We went back to the whiny, narcissistic prick that he was at the beginning of season 1. And then he kind of had to have all this, character arc again. And we're still mad at our fathers, only now it's Rory mad at Lucifer. So,
and we had Mazikeen mad at mom last season. That took Mazikeen out of her character, which bothered me as well. So
yeah, because we still have no real idea why the demons had a mother. I'm unclear on that. I don't know, because she tells Lucifer, "Yeah, I gave you an army," and he's like, "I didn't ask for one," or something. She's like, "But you used them and they were great," or whatever. And he's like, "Well, yeah, I don't. None of that made sense to me." But so yeah, time travel didn't make sense to me. The whole Lucifer suddenly as a father didn't make sense to me. It's like a lot of TV shows when they want to change something up. That's what you do. You give the characters a kid, right? And that's like, okay, that shakes everything up. Now we've done the magic, give them a child trope, and this is going to fix everything with our whatever our script writing problems we're having or something.
Well, and it connects, but it doesn't, to like the whole thing about, well, can an angel and a human have a baby, and how will the baby be? And that was the whole discussion, I guess, last season. So, but here's my question about her. Like, we have all these incredible characters, and we have a lot of really cool characters that pop in, pop out. But is Rory a strong character? Is Rory a weak character? I feel like it's a weak character. I don't get much. I don't get much from that character. I feel like she's a device.
Yeah, she got Chloe and Lucifer to like have a lot of heated discussions, I guess, and talks about fate and choice and free will and stuff. But besides prodding them to talk about things, it didn't make a whole lot of sense.
And that kind of dark, edgy side, I feel like kind of belongs to Mazikeen already, right? Like, so I don't feel like that was a new introduction to it. So yeah, I loved the wings. I
love the wings.
I love the wings. Even just the final plot device, which I didn't like, and I don't think we're probably going to have a whole episode on this, but I didn't like this device that who's the French guy again? I forget his name. The
mech, I think.
The mech. Overhears Lucifer and Dan's discussion, and so he knows, how to get to Lucifer. But it's interesting because I thought he was going to go after Dan's daughter, Trixie. There, one of the few times we saw her all season. But how did he capture Rory? Right, like she's pretty self-reliant, right? Like, so how did he capture her and get her held up like that? Right, like it just seemed weird. And if she could pull off of the thing that was holding her, like, why did it take, until the very last moment? So yeah, don't feel like they used her well. And so I tend to think this was the tool they used to extend the denouement for like another season or something. I don't know.
Well, we had, Chloe quit the police force, so we didn't really have a lot of murders to solve. So we quit the police procedural format. And I guess, we had to change the format to something else. So we didn't have really a kind of framework, I guess, to each episode. It was more of a really long episode, or but not, I guess, slices of episodes. I don't know. It changed everything up. It felt okay, I guess, the way they did it. It's just that some of the episodes maybe weren't so great. The whole cartoon thing was, just a waste, I think, of somebody's animation talent, I guess.
Yeah. and honestly, that story arc resolved in a way that I was moved by, right? I was very moved by, and that's a hard one, right? But I've said this a long time. Hurt people, and it doesn't excuse what they do, but it's good to see, right, the humanity, and how it gets shattered by the things that we do and that happen to us in this world. And
yeah, I did like that Lucifer was thinking, well, if I'm going to be God, I need to learn how to like people who aren't likable, and then proceeds to begin to understand that all these unlikable people, there are some reasons why they're like that they became those unlikable, horrible people because of certain things. And then once he starts seeing the truth behind, the nasty front they have up, that he does get to feel something for them.
And he intervenes to like give comfort. I guess it's not really going to help him out of his hell loop, but at least he brings comfort to him. And so I guess that is part of this episode to talk about just, I like the idea of Lucifer being the one who helps them through their hell loops, right? That we've kind of said that all along. That kind of like that seems
Well,
like a
it's like,
better
yeah,
role.
it said Linda needs to go down there and
Yeah.
get everybody out of their hell loop. Well, so apparently it's going to be Lucifer and not Linda, but there's no reason that when she dies, she can't go down there and help and train all the demons to do it too. I mean, there's no reason all those billions of demons can't be out being therapists, right?
Yeah, and there's no reason why Lucifer can't go back and forth, in my opinion, since Amenadiel is able to be God and go back and forth. Like, I don't understand why
Right. If
Lucifer.
Menadiel can rule heaven from earth, well, yeah, why can't Lucifer figure out some kind of commute schedule that doesn't take him away from Chloe and Rory all the time for however many years? We kept saying 20, but then Rory said, well, it's longer than that because I'm older than I look or whatever. I'm an angel and I don't age the way everybody else does. So longer than 20 years, but we don't know how many. He's in hell and no one on earth sees him, and yet we know that he can travel between hell and earth in a second or less. So the commute's not bad, and even though time passes differently there, let's say he commutes to hell every evening and comes back at I don't know, 10 in the morning, noon, I don't know. So that's say 12, 16 hours our time, and that's maybe several centuries in hell time. So that's a long time to start to do a lot of therapy. And then you can spend a few hours here with Chloe and Rory, and then go back and spend another few hundred years on the having people on the couch. So the why he has to stay in hell all the time doesn't make any sense.
And I feel like that really ties into this whole time travel thing, because we have dealt with it a little bit with the whole difference of time in hell and on earth, and the back and forth between heaven and hell and earth and all that. And so Rory kind of becomes a manifestation of like really studying the time travel, but I don't feel like it doesn't ring interesting or true to me, a lot of it. Yeah.
I did like, and we have mentioned this before, that's it's the only angels that seem to be improving or becoming actual like people and not just jerks are Lucifer and Amenadiel, and it seems to be because they have so much exposure to humans that they have learned about suffering and they have learned about what humans go through. And so the fact that that their siblings are sitting around heaven, counting their toes for billions upon billions of years, means they haven't literally like become mature. They haven't become like fully fledged people. They're just these sort of whiny toddler brat type characters, because they never had to do anything or overcome anything or try anything. They just sit around until God says, go down and tell Mary she's going to have a baby or whatever, and then they go and they do that, and then they go home, right? So they've never had to do anything or achieve anything. So at least now God is going to make them all come down to earth and live among humans as humans, and get some of that on the street experience and start learning how to empathize and how to be compassionate and how to really like do their angel jobs, because they will have had exposure and have learned about what life is like when you actually have to struggle. So that was good.
And that was cool how they wanted to help even though they were screwing it up when they were doing it on their own. That was a change for the angels. I don't know why or when that changed. I guess the big great angel war.
God disappears and so
yeah, that was cool. I also think with Rory's character, there are always exceptions, but there are patterns, and typically when a child is abandoned by their father, they tend to resent their mother, even though the mother is the one that does kind of the superhuman job. And particularly daughters tend to idealize fathers, even if they're an absent father. So that's kind of like a real life psychology thing, but that's also usually depicted in movies and TV shows. But that is not how Rory related. It was almost like Lucifer could do nothing right, no matter what, and Chloe could do nothing wrong. And so I thought that was original. It was different.
Okay, any closing thoughts on Rory or time travel or sort of the devices they use to get through the season?
I'm going to say it. I mean, obviously the season hung on the frame of Rory time travel, but I'll say, like, without Rory in the season, I just don't feel like her character added a lot. I'm all about character.
All right. Well, if you disagree with that, Or if you agree with that, hit the like or dislike little buttons there and leave us a comment. We'd like to hear from you. So remember, hit like and subscribe, and we will see you next time on Infernal Intercourse. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.